Hello guys, today in this video we will create custom cache driver in Laravel. Here you can see I have already installed Laravel 5.7. If we open config cache.php file, here you can see Laravel cache driver supports APC, array, database, file, memcached and redis. Today in this video we will create SQlite as a cache driver for Laravel. Before start working on this, you will need to make sure that the PHP SQlite 3 is installed on your system. If we run sudo apt search PHP SQlite 3 on terminal, here we see the results. I have PHP 7.2 in my system, so I have already installed this one. If you are on Windows or Mac, then you need to Google it and install it on your system. Next we need to install SQlite browser. It is a GUI for SQlite database. You can download this from sqlitebrowser.org website. Here is the link to download for Windows, Mac, and scroll down. Here is how to install on different Linux systems like Fedora, Debian, Ubuntu. I have already installed it on my system and here it is. Everything is done. Now let's create SQlite cache driver together in Laravel. Our first step is to create empty SQlite database. On terminal, run touch database cache.sqlite. It will create empty cache.sqlite file inside database directory of Laravel project. Now let's switch to editor. Here in app directory, I am going to create cache drivers SQlite store.php file. Namespace would be app cache drivers and class SQlite store. We need to extend this SQlite store with eliminate cache database store class, because this database store is responsible for storing, fetching, and other features of Laravel caching. Let's take a look at this database store class. If we scroll down, here construct method has 3 argument variables. Switch back to SQlite store class. Here I will create a construct method and we will call the parent construct method. As we have seen, parent construct method has 3 arguments. So here we have to pass these 3 arguments. Because we have not defined these variables yet, so let's comment it out for now. In our next step, we will open config cache.php file. Under stores, here below redis, we will define our SQlite cache driver configuration. Drivers would be SQlite, table is cache, database is cache.sqlite, which we have created in the beginning. And prefix is empty for me. If you want, you can specify your desired prefix here. It's done here. Let's switch back to SQlite store class. Here we will load configuration that just defined in cache.php file. We can load this by using config helper function. We will pass cache.stores.sqlite. Here we will pass default values, you can skip it, but I always like to declare default values. In next step, we will set configuration of SQlite cache database connection. Driver is SQlite database from $config database and prefix from $config prefix. Next, create SQlite DB connection with this SQlite cache configuration we just declared here. Finally, uncomment this parent construct. We have $connection variable. Replace this $table variable with $config table and $prefix with $config prefix. Now we will create SQlite store service provider. So switch to terminal and run php artisan make provider SQlite store provider. In editor, navigate to providers, SQlite store provider. Inside boot method, we will define SQlite cache driver using cache extend method. Here need to define name of the cache driver and it is SQlite in our case. In closure function, return cache repository new SQlite store which we have created earlier. Navigate to config app.php, scroll down, here specify our service provider. Everything is done. Now it's time to test it out. In .env file, change cache driver from file to SQlite. Navigate to route web.php. In this route, for testing, let's store some test data in cache. In terminal, run php artisan serve and open this URL in browser. Here we got error, no such table cache. We forgot to create cache table in cache.sqlite database. We have to create this cache table manually. So let's open project in System File Manager. Inside database directory, here is cache.sqlite database file. I will drag and drop this file to SQlite browser application. In Execute SQL tab, I am going to paste snippet to create cache table and run this query. Now click write changes. It will save this table to cache.sqlite file. And you can see cache table is created. Let's test it again. In terminal, run php artisan serve and switch to browser. Give a refresh. Here it printed null. Of course, cache put method will not return cache data. It will just save data in cache driver. In SQlite browser, here you can see cache is stored here. In editor, I will fetch this cache and dump this. Give a refresh and it printed the cache data. Let's try one more example by storing a collection of users in cache. In .env file, I have already set up the database. So in terminal, I am going to run migration to create users table. In database factories, you can see Laravel has created user factory for us. In Laravel Tinker, I will create few users using factory method. In users table, give a refresh. Here we have some users. Back to routes web.php. Here I will store users collection in cache. Dump these users. Refresh in browser. We forgot to run php artisan serve command on terminal. Go back, refresh. Here we have users collection and it worked. In SQlite browser, refresh. Here is users collection stored. It is all in this video. If you like the video, hit the like button, share this video and don't forget to subscribe us. See you in the next upcoming videos.